This is the download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news of the business of podcasting, brought to you by Spreaker from iHeart. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Thursday, June 6th. First up, My Audience Won't Tolerate Advertising by Tom Webster. The headline is a familiar refrain in podcasting. Webster has decided to put it to the test with Sounds Profitable's upcoming study Ad Nauseam, which surveyed 1,000 weekly podcast listeners on their expectations with podcast ads. When it came to the percentage of weekly podcast listeners who said ads were, quote, intolerable, end quote, the final result was 1%. On Wednesday, June 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Webster will host a free half-hour webinar debuting other key findings from Ad Nauseam, and registration is open now. The full report and webinar recording will be made available soon after. Next up, Magellan AI ad load on top 500 podcasts approaches 10% during Q1. The H1 2024 edition of Magellan AI's podcast advertising market trends report is here. Key findings include the concept that ad loads rise along with the show's popularity. The top 500 podcasts tracked by Magellan AI dedicate 9.77% of episode time to advertising, while shows ranking 501 to 3,000 average 7.95%, and shows below the top 3,000 average 8.25%. In general, Magellan AI finds each segment of podcasting has more advertising now than a year ago, with ad load on the top 500 podcasts in Q1 increasing 57% year over year. Next up, Member Message recording new dynamic AI audio commercials waiver. The Screen Actors Guild and American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, also known as SAG-AFTRA, has published a memo to all members sharing a new waiver for actors regarding the use of dynamic AI audio in commercials. The waiver aims to set fair terms for compensation of a voice actor whose voice is cloned for the purpose of personalizing digital audio ads. For example, an ad that generates copy based on local weather, time of day, or location data from the listener's device. The waiver includes requirements that producers properly safeguard voice files and delete all copies at the end of an employment relationship. Next up, Gen Alpha parents are learning about brands and products from their kids. A new service from the analytics arm of DKC collected responses from 1,000 American adult parents of Gen Alpha children aged 8 to 13. 95% of respondents say they learn about new products or brands from their kids, and 49% of those parents' purchasing decisions were influenced by the child's opinion. Gen Alpha already has some buying power as well, with 91% of parents saying their children love to shop, and 92% say their kids are great at finding interesting new products. The case is for and against the Trade Desk's Top 100 list. A recent publication of the Trade Desk's Top 100 advertisers has caused some discourse in the advertising industry. The pro side of the piece proposes the list serves as a starting point for nuanced discussion about what advertisers should prioritize when buying media based on consent and first-party data. The con side raises concerns like notable omissions of premium publishers and the size of the trade desk in the industry. When any third-party option becomes the de facto option, it can become concerning for the wider industry. As for the rest of the news, Eddie by Headliner now has the ability to create branded content in 14 different languages. Adam Bowie takes a look at Edison Podcast Metrics UK Top 25 podcasts of Q1. Gartner's CMO survey finds marketing budgets are dipping back towards pre-pandemic levels, and CMOs overwhelmingly believe generative AI is the best bet for the future. A recent episode of Decoder takes a look at how independent websites are handling the end of Google search traffic, and PQ Media data shows consumer media usage is expected to pick back up after a lull in 2023. Be sure to check out the links to every article mentioned right in your podcast listening app or at soundsprofitable.com, where you can also subscribe to the newsletter. The download is written and produced by Brian Barletta, Gavin Gaddis, Tom Webster, and Newton Shuttlecotty. This episode is hosted on Spreaker. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us again tomorrow.